Hi there. So I'm going to talk about my story is the other side of Christmas. And I want to just ask you a question. Do you believe in Santa Claus? Well, I'll tell you I do. And I'm going to tell you the story about why I believe in Santa Claus. And maybe after this evening, you're going to believe in Santa Claus too. So it took place a long time ago when I was 7 years old, and my little sister Jen was 6 years old. And we had this Christmas Eve tradition where we would sleep somewhere other than our beds. We didn't want to sleep in our beds on Christmas Eve. So we would make a fort, and maybe it would be in the closet, and maybe it would be under the bed, or maybe we'd take a bunch of furniture and just build a fort and put a big blanket over top and make a roof. But no matter what, we would sleep somewhere other than our beds. So I remember this one Christmas Eve, we decided to sleep on the couch, the living room couch. I with my head on one side of the couch, and my sister Jen with her head on the other side of the couch. And we went to bed that night with all the excitement of 6 and 7 year old girls. We were hardly able to contain ourselves with all the excitement that we had. Now, keep in mind that the living room is where the big, beautiful tree that's all decorated is standing, and the stockings are all hung somewhere up there. And that year there were 6 of them. They're all waiting for Santa Claus to come and fill them up. So, also, what about the thought of maybe getting a glimpse of this big old guy that's coming to fill up our stockings? Maybe that would happen tonight. We were very, very excited. The chocolate chip cookies and the glass of milk was sitting on the table there, waiting for Santa to come by with his reindeer. And the chatter that we had and the excitement that we had was probably hushed many times before we fell asleep. Now, we finally did fall asleep that night, and I, for one, slept very soundly. But my little sister Jen, she had a much different experience that night. So we woke up really early, like you do when you're 6 and 7 years old on Christmas morning. And my sister was really full of energy and excitement because she wanted to share her story. She saw Santa Claus. So I listened, of course, with my own excitement as she recounted her story. And this is how her story went. She was woken up sometime during the night by a noise. And as she was looking around, trying to see what the noise was about, she saw this big black boot. And the boot was attached to this leg with a red velvety pair of pants on it. And she figures she must have made a noise too, because that guy in that red pantsuit turned around and looked at her. He winked and he smiled, and she wasn't afraid because she recognized him. He was Santa Claus. She was so excited to see Santa Claus. And Santa Claus came over to her and he touched her on her cheek. And then she was frozen. She couldn't move and she couldn't speak. So she laid there and she watched him fill the stockings all up to the top and overfilling. And then he simply disappeared. So the next thing she remembers is waking up the next morning on Christmas morning. Well, I had lots of questions for my sister that morning. And the first one, most important one, was, well, why didn't you wake me up? I wanted to see Santa too. And sadly, she looked at me and she said, well, I'm sorry, Heather. I wanted to wake you up, but I couldn't. I was frozen. He froze me. I couldn't even talk to anybody. Well, I was unimpressed for sure that I wasn't able to be with her in this awesome experience of seeing Santa. But I am still able to continuously her experience as I keep this memory of my sister's young and expressive heart close to my own heart. So as I end my story, I want to leave you with a quote from Laura Ingalls Wilder, which shares with us how our lives are better because of our childhood memories. Our hearts grow tender with childhood memories and love of kindred, and we are better throughout the year for having in spirit become a child again at Christmas time. Laura Ingalls Wilder. So Merry Christmas, everyone, and Happy Holidays.